It's great that 2 of the 3 quintessential visual novels came west. After all, I wasn't a huge fan of the first game. The Sims stuff was cool, but I felt the story wasn't that fantastic, at least for most of the adventure. Thankfully, that was rectified in the second game that came west as a part of the same double pack. Let's dive right into a proper VN in the Quint anime and manga series. Here is my review of the Quintessential Quintuplets 5 Memories Spent With You for the Nintendo Switch. Now to start things off, I can't talk about this story at all without laying down major spoilers from the Quintuplets movie. I'll give a brief spoiler-free summary here, and if you haven't seen the anime and movie, I'll put a timestamp for you to jump to. So, let's start the spoiler-free stuff. The quintuplets are graduating high school, and Futaro has chosen one of the girls to start dating. Before they all separate into college and university life, they go on a vacation together, with Futaro vowing to become closer to the sister of his choice and kiss her to show his feelings. As with the previous game, this doesn't do anything to introduce you to this world or its characters. It jumps straight into the end of the Quintuplets movie and goes from there. You're expected to already know who everyone is and where the story is at. In other words, this is for fans of the series to live out their personal desires of who they wanted Futaro to become involved with versus the canonical love interest the actual series pushed. And I'll say that this story is much better than the one from Summer Memories. All of the girls seem much more in character, the entire plot is very good on all the different routes, and I never thought they had been turned into generic stereotypes and acting out of character. And that's all I can really say without spoiling it. Skip to the timestamp below if you wish to jump to the gameplay section and avoid spoilers. Now that that's out of the way, let's do the real story summary. 5 Memories kicks off right at the end of the Quintuplets movie, where Futaro is forced to make a decision of which of the Quints to express his love to and start dating. And it lets you choose the girl from the very beginning of the game, showing each possible outcome if Futaro had gone into any of the girls' rooms that night, letting players choose who they want their canonical love interest to be. This is done really well, having every girl react differently. Plus, if you choose Yatsuba, the canonical love interest, it is a spot-on one-to-one mirror of the movie's events. Her reaction is the same, with her freaking out and running away, and Itsuki pushing Futaro towards her to allow her to accept those feelings. The rest of the game is great as well. Every girl has an arc that fits well with their personality from the source material, like Miku struggling to handle being Futaro's girlfriend, or Ichika trying too hard to be the elder sister and be a good girlfriend and wife material at the same time. I'll admit that sometimes it can get a bit too on the nose in the case of Miku, but overall, it's pretty good. The game also does some interesting things to help support the way all of the girls act, like Ichika talking about how they have to be careful to keep their relationship a secret because she's an actress. This is a reference to the fact that most sponsors and agents want the more idol-like female Japanese actresses to stay single so their fans don't get discouraged and have their viewership lowered, possibly ending their acting career. Now that we're past the spoiler discussion, when it comes to gameplay, this is a visual novel with dialogue choices. When you play this game, you go through cutscenes and make choices throughout to gain intimacy through a point system, aiming to get enough of those points for your chosen girl's good ending versus the normal ending. Now the big change from the typical VN formula is that you're not doing dialogue choices here to end up pairing with and dating the chosen heroine. Because of where the story begins, you get to choose and confess to the girl of your choice right at the beginning of the game, and you're dating them for the entire story. The dialogue choices in this game are strictly for getting a normal versus good ending. You're with her regardless, and that's an interesting take on the VN dating sim genre. It makes sense from a story perspective for where this is set in the series timeline, but it's very different for this sort of game. Now there is a little bit of interactability outside of dialogue choices. As you go through the game, you'll have a choice on where to go and with who. You'll typically get 3 places to explore in the story, each with 2 of the characters. You can technically choose whoever you want, but you'll always end up wanting to go wherever your girl is going. That's where all the dialogue choices are that you need. And thankfully, the dialogue choices and endings are very easy to figure out. Every time you make a correct choice, you'll see a little points up pop up on screen, showing that you made the right call. So if you want the good ending right away, it's pretty easy. Just save it a choice and reload if you don't get that notification. Plus, the game has an incredibly straightforward tutorial you're given at the beginning. And that's about it for the gameplay mechanics. Sure, you have your auto advance, skip, log, etc., but all of that is pretty much a given for the visual novel format, though there is replayability for the different routes. Each girl's arc is different, so there is reason for you to go through all the other routes and see the troubles of each girl in the relationship setting, or just unlocking the all-girls route to have fun and be close to all of them instead of just one. Now, as far as content and length goes, it's not that long. I got my first ending with Ichika after playing for around 4 hours. It's a pretty short VN with each J just having a few vents available. Hopefully you like more than one girl. Next up is presentation, and it's pretty much the same as the first game. It uses the same graphical engine and everything looks beautiful. The CG especially are perfectly crafted even on the Switch. Something I also found to be a nice detail about the design was that all of the girls have swimsuits in this game, but they're all different designs than the swimsuits from the previous games. And once again, nothing to worry about with performance. The loading sequences are slightly longer than the previous game, but it's still barely a second or two to load into a save file. And with that, let's go into battery life, which is, once again, the same as before. This game gives the original and light models a battery range of 4.5 to 6 hours, while the V2 and OLED gets 7.5 to 8.5 hours. In conclusion, the Quintessential Quintuplets second VN outing in English is a great one, dropping the sim elements of the previous game and doubling down on story and dialogue choices. Now, the downside, the game isn't very long, and you're pretty much required to know the franchise up through the movie's finale to understand this story. But for those that do, it's a good VN to allow you to let Futaro have whichever love interest you wish, as opposed to being locked into the canonical heroine. Reviews to Go rates the Quintessential Quintuplets 5 memories spent with you for the Nintendo Switch an 8.5 out of 10. If you have any comments or questions, feel free to leave them below. Thank you for watching, and have a great day.